Good morning, everyone. So today I want to share with you about serving God or serving yourself. So last night I had a talk with a friend of mine, and we were discussing a women's event that's coming up in our area that we're going to go to. And she said, I'm not sure if I want to go because, the last time I went to an event like that, I didn't feel like I really got a lot out of it. And so we continued talking, and as we were talking, it really hit my heart to ask her more questions about what she was thinking about that event. And what hit my heart and what I shared with her is really about her attitude in regards to the event and her mentality about it. And she said, she was thinking about what she could get out of it and instead of what she could give. And so if we go into situations thinking, well, I didn't learn that much, or I didn't meet anyone new, or no one talked to me, I didn't get my needs met, then we're going into it with the wrong attitude. Because it doesn't matter if you go to an event, if you go to church, or even if you go to work. When we make a decision about serving God, if you make that commitment that I'm going to serve God, I'm going to make Jesus Lord of my life, part of that decision means that in everything we're doing, everything we're going to do, we're going to have an attitude of how we can give everywhere we go, not about what we get. And in Mark 10:45, it says, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." And depending on how much you've studied the Bible, or how often you've studied the Bible, or how in depth you've studied the Bible, you should know by studying the Bible and studying about Jesus that Jesus came to serve. Jesus came to give to people. Jesus came to help people. And in one of my favorite chapters in Philippians 2, verse 3 and 4, it says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but rather in humility value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others." And really, there's so many scriptures. Romans 12:1 says, "Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship." Because a lot of people go to church. A lot of people, I was talking with her about this last night. I'm like, a lot of people go to church and they're singing and praising God and the Spirit and all this stuff. And I'm like, but yet their lives are totally showing something opposite of what they're more into the emotional praise and worship stuff instead of their life being a living example, instead of our lives being a living sacrifice. So when you think about being a living sacrifice for him, or thinking about what does it mean to imitate Jesus? What does it mean to practically be like Jesus every day in your life? It comes down to the nitty-gritty of, am I going to serve God or am I going to serve myself? Am I going to do this for God or am I going to do this for myself? In this conversation, am I going to treat that person the way Jesus would treat them, or am I going to treat them how I feel or how I'm reacting to what they say? And people don't understand that being a disciple of Christ, being a true Christian, is one of the hardest things you can do. It's harder than anything I've ever done in my life, because it really takes every part of you to bring yourself into line to obedience to him. And when you think about, sometimes you go to work and people are screaming and yelling at you. At least in my business they do. Sometimes people are very emotional and they scream and yell at you. Well, how am I going to respond? How am I going to act in response to how they're acting? And making the decision to be like Jesus is saying, okay, it doesn't matter what anyone else does. It doesn't matter if they do what's right. It has nothing to do if that person is doing what's right. It has to do with, am I going to do what's right? Am I going to be obedient and walk in the footsteps of Jesus, no matter if anyone else is or not? Even if I'm the only one, if I was the only one in the world left, am I going to be like Jesus? Am I going to display the example of Jesus through my life, in my life, to other people, because I'm doing everything I can to imitate him? And in 1 Peter 4:10, it says, each one should use whatever gift he has received to serve others, faithfully administering God's grace in its various forms. The thing people don't realize is when you serve others, that shows God. When you give to others, when you're gracious to others, when you forgive others, when you do the things, when you live the life that is the example of what Jesus would have done when he was here, guess what? It shows people God. It helps people see God through you. It isn't about you. It isn't about you being self-righteous. It isn't about you getting a pat on the back. It isn't about people telling you how awesome you are. It is about you saying, okay, Father, I'm giving up my life today to you. What do you want me to do? How do you want me to speak? How can I honor your name? How can I serve you as my King? How can I worship you? How can I obey your will over my will? How can I give up myself to you? And there's a scripture in Matthew 20:27 through 28, and it says, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. And it's an interesting scripture because a lot of people freak out when they hear the word slave and they don't understand the original concept in the scripture of slave. And it is something that I'm going to share with you guys in upcoming videos because I wrote a book about it, about being a slave of Christ. And what does that mean? Because really, it doesn't matter what message you listen to out there, honestly. It doesn't matter what preacher, what priest, whoever evangelist is speaking. If you listen to messages by other people, what matters is, are they speaking the truth? Number one. Are they bringing it down to reality and to step by step, helping you see, what does it mean to do it? What does it mean to put it into practice? Because it's not this, feel good, ethereal, la la la, love and blah 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 kind of stuff. That's not what it is meant to be. It is meant to be practical. This is how you live it. This is how you obey it. This is how you follow it. And if you're doing that, what ultimately happens is you're serving God instead of serving yourself. And then you become an example to someone else, saying, hey, come along this journey with me. Hey, I'm doing everything I can to walk in the footsteps of Christ. I'm doing everything I can to obey him. And I want to help you. And it's kind of like pulling people up out of the water that are drowning. You don't just see somebody drowning in the water and walk by them. You look down, see them drowning, and you throw them a life vest, you throw them a boat, you throw them whatever you can do to try to pull them up out of the water. Well, that's the same concept. Serving people is like the same thing. How can I serve the people at work today? How can I serve people at church? How can I serve people at events I go to? How can I serve people even on phone calls that I make? When I'm calling clients, how can I have the attitude of a servant, of giving to them, thinking more about their needs instead of more about my needs? And if we go into every situation, the reality, you guys have all heard, your mindset determines your reality. Your mindset determines your success or your outcome. And if you go into every situation really with your mindset on, okay, Jesus is Lord, what that means is I'm going to try to do my best to obey him in every situation, in word and deed, and everything I do, because he isn't, you can't make him Lord of some of your life. You can't make him Lord sometimes. You can't make him Lord when you feel like it, or when it's easy, or when it's convenient. If he is going to be Lord of your life, that means he is Lord of all of your life. Every day, every minute, every situation, no matter how hard it is, no matter how much you struggle through it to obey, that means Lord of all. And how we treat other people and how we serve other people is a direct reflection of your relationship with God. It's a direct reflection of your opinion or your life with God is how you treat other people. And there's a scripture that talks about out of the heart, the mouth speaks. So what you say to people, how you treat them, your attitude going into the relationship is all an example of where you are with God. So if you start with God, getting yourself right and getting yourself to be in line with Him as a servant of Him, it really makes it a whole lot easier to turn around and then go serve other people. So today I want to encourage you to not just be self-serving, but serving others, and follow the example of Jesus that He set for us. And I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.